everybody. This video I'm going to do some work on a frog for a Stanley plane. I picked the nastiest, dirtiest number 5 I could find out of my pile and decided that was the one to show how to clean up the parts. I did a video that shows you how to do the base and how to make a scraper and a sanding stick to do most of the work. So this time we're going to look at the frog. And this frog is a beauty. She's got lots of rust everywhere you look. Top, bottom, all around. The first thing I'm going to do is give it a good scrubbing with some Simple Green and a toothbrush. This frog has a nice tight lateral. I mean, it's so tight it's hard to move. A lot of the older ones you find the laterals aren't tight, they're sloppy, they'll flop back and forth when you move them. What you need to do is take a punch. I use a flat one. Heavy hammer. Something solid like this anvil right here. On the underside of the frog, there's this little pin that comes through right here. You put that on the anvil, and then the top side of the pin where it comes through the lateral adjustment lever, put your punch on there and you give it a good solid wrap. But this one, it doesn't need that. What this frog does need is a good scraping. I showed you in another video how to make these scrapers. They're a wonderful tool. Holding my scraper at an angle, I'm going to scrape the machine surfaces, this top part of the frog, the bottom side of the frog, where it touches the base here, and this part here. And I'm also going to scrape the lateral. Keep your scraper at an angle. Keep it flat on your work surface. And you'll see that rust is just going to peel off of there nice as can be. That's enough for the top. Hit the bottom surfaces. These you just want to get the gross rust off, because I always take this over on my lapping paper. Then what you want to do is do the part that makes it look the best, and that's tackle the lateral, hit the sides, the underside, and you can get right in here on that little part of the lateral that comes down. Scrape as much of that off as you can. Next thing I want to do is take my sanding block with 150 grit, and in the direction of what the machining marks are, keeping my paper flat, even up the patina or completely remove it, whatever you prefer. That's good for the frog. Now I take my sanding stick, and I'm going to use that on the lateral. Just going to shine it right up. You can see it coming to life. Apply pressure where pressure is needed. We do the sides same way, and we're going to do the underside right here. You can hold your sanding stick on its edge. It works quite effectively in this spot right here. Put the little corner right up against the top edge of the frog. Work it all the way around. There's a look at how that cleaned up right there. Now I take the frog over here on my lapping paper. It's glued to a piece of marble with the number 77 spray adhesive. I'm going to do this forward edge right here where it rests on the base of the plane. Rock it around until you feel it sit perfectly flat. Hold that angle. Slide it back and forth a few times. That's looking really good. Now we're going to do this part right here. You're going to put it on the edge of your sandpaper, let the frog hang over, and run it back and forth. You don't want to take the machining marks out, so don't go overboard. Just remove the rust, and that's it. So now we've got all the machine surfaces cleaned up. The lateral has been cleaned up, looks a whole lot better. Next step is I'm going to take it over on my wire wheel, finish cleaning up the lateral, and do a little work on the threads for the depth adjustment knob. When you do this, you want to make sure that you're not taking off Japanning unless you're going to be redoing the Japanning. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is hit the ladder with some 3000 grit paper just to polish it up a little bit. Front and get the back. That's got the ladder looking really good. Then I'm going to hit the front machine surface with a soft wire brush. And I failed to mention that when I had it on my wire wheel, I hit the front and the back side of the depth adjuster right there. Next is some 4/0 steel wool, might be 3, over the whole thing. Don't be afraid of messing up the Japanning, just don't rub it too hard. But you want to clean any rust that's on there off to where you can see bare metal. An all around good general cleanup of the Japanning with steel wool. I don't think you want to watch all this, so I'm going to turn it off and come back when I'm done. If you've got some stubborn areas, soft wire brush won't hurt the Japanning at all. If your Japanning is good, it's not going to come off. If you see rust in spots that you can't get at with the steel wool or the wire brush, dental picks. I'd say this frog's looking pretty darn good. Most of the time the Japanning on the frogs is better than what it is on the bottom or the base. If it wasn't, I would have stripped it with some stripper before we did all this scrubbing on it right after the wash. When I washed it down with the simple green, assess the Japanning. If you don't like it, strip it off and then do the same scrubbing that we just did to prep it for paint. If you've got a sandblaster, I put it in the sandblaster after the scrubbing. If for some reason you're not happy with the machine surface that your iron rests on, you can lap that. You can take it over on the edge of your lapping paper. You don't want to be messing up the little washer on your lateral, but you line it up, make sure it's flat, and start sliding it back and forth. You take a look at it, see what you're doing, where you need to apply more pressure. I'm switching to the other side right now. And that will flatten and true up your frog. I finish it by putting the entire frog on my lapping paper. Work it that way. So that removed a little bit of metal, but not much. You can take it down as much as you want. I don't do any more than what I have to. I wouldn't have done this except to show you how to do it. If your 3000 grit paper wasn't enough on the lateral, you're not happy with it, you want a little more shine, put it on a buffing wheel. That's it. After the buffing, you're going to want to take some steel wool to it to clean some of the buffing compound off. Back to your sandpaper. If the buffing compound hits the machine surface of your frog, to get it looking back like it's supposed to. There she is. Looking really good. The next thing to do with this one, and it's the last thing, is my dirty oil rag. The dirty oil rag is saturated with this oil right here. You're going to rub it into every nook and cranny. So as you can see, everything is coated, every nook and cranny. I would normally leave that on overnight. I don't know if it matters. So whenever you feel like it's time, I use a blue shop paper towel, any type of paper towel, rag, doesn't matter what it is. I start wiping the dirty oil off. And it seems like this oil revitalizes the Japanning. I wipe as much as I can, And then I get in there with an air hose and I blow out the oil places where I can't reach, and I repeat the wipe. I wiped it down, I blew it off again, and now I'm getting in here with a Q-tip. Get down in there and wipe it out real good, all the oil. And with the wiping done, I'm at the last step for the frog itself, and that's to put some wax on it. After the wax is dried, I take a shop towel and wipe all the wax off. With the wax wiped off, I get a clean Q-tip, and after the Q-tip, I move on to a microfiber towel, buff it up. And voila, there's what she looks like all cleaned up. I forgot to mention one thing. Sometimes you don't want to redo the Japanning, but you might just want to touch it up. Little chips, usually around the outside edges, will be worn. So this is what you can use right here. Let's take a look at the rest of this frog. I mean, this thing was pretty much covered with rust when we started, and now it's looking almost in pristine condition, ready to be put back to work once all the other parts are done. But there's probably a couple of you out there that are pretty savvy and said, wait a minute, what about the small parts? I'd say that was quite the transformation. This old frog's looking really good now. And there's a look at her from the bottom side. And with the old frog sitting there next to its bottom, it's time to do another video, and that one will be on the iron. Well, hopefully some of this information on restoring an old frog will be useful to you. But you know what it is, time for supper. Bye.